Okay, I believe we are up and rolling right now. I'm on new streaming software, so not 100% certain exactly what I'm doing right now. I don't know if I can type through it or type through the other or what exactly. We're going to get started here in a second. And then we'll get off to start answering questions. And a reminder again, if you happen to miss the third Thursday and you'd like questions answered, Arkenberg Farms with an S dot questions with an S at yahoo.com. And you can just go ahead and submit them through there. I actually have quite a few questions through there and also through the YouTube feed as well. So yes, it's Arkenberg Farms, all one word, dot questions with an S, both S.com. Actually, I will put it down in the window right here. You can't be here. Questions with an S. And at Yahoo. I know, I still use Yahoo. It is what it is. Makes my life a little easier. Okay. There we go. So I need to see now, because I'm using this new stream system, if it'll actually pop up what's coming up in the there we go. Yes, I can see it. All right, that's exactly what I wanted to see. Okay, so not sure how it is everywhere else. It rained all day yesterday, pretty much half the day today. It's kind of cold, kind of miserable. Been getting the greenhouses really worked in out here on the farm. Started doing a little bit of field cleanup because I get busy in the fall and kind of want to slow down a little bit. So I usually don't really get to that until this time of year, right before the ground freezes, because usually end of the end of January, early February is usually our coldest time of the year. We did get that really cold blast, which is actually unseasonably cold for us around here. So it kind of, I think it kind of turned the season a little bit. It got colder quicker, which is good and bad, but I couldn't get as much done earlier. But hey, look, I'm in my kind of sort of office now. So I can't beat that. That's giving me some time to actually work on the pack building. Also, kind of trying to work on getting a cold pack kitchen in here. We're in Northeast Kansas. They have pain in the butt laws, basically. We have to be a food processor, which means we have to have a full commercial kitchen to do things like make salad or salad dressings or pesto or garden salsa or any of that stuff. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I think I've got it pretty much down. I read through the law. It's only 70, 80 pages, nothing major. I have a fairly good idea. I built this whole pack building, which I've shown in a bunch of the videos, specifically for if I ever wanted to go to the extent of doing a commercial kitchen, I could go ahead and hopefully be able to do it without much of a problem. I won't even get into it now, but I think I have it pretty much there. I might have to do some drop ceilings or something, but it's a whole different story. When I get there, I'll definitely be doing videos on it and covering the different things that we got to do. So we're going to go ahead and get into some of the questions that were submitted through the email to arkenbergfarms.questions at yahoo.com. First one's from Matt. He's asking about the Kubota B7100 tractor I have and the Wunderbar implements. He has the two-wheel drive one. So You basically want to know if it'll pull the implements, because the Wonder Bar, if nobody knows what I'm talking about, is basically just a toolbar for the back of your tractor. It fits on the 3-point. You can drop all kinds of implements on there. You can drop Hillers on there. You can drop Danish S-tines on there. I've got rippers that I use. I also have, what else do I have? Potato plow that I put on there. I think that's about all I really do with it. I've got the tire track erasers, that whole 9 yards with it. Really haven't played with that too much. But honestly, about, those little Kubota tractors have a lot of pull and a lot of grab. I always run mine in 4-wheel drive, so it's really hard to say if that really affects it much. The biggest problem I can see is if you're trying to run rippers or if you're trying to run a potato plow. If you can run a potato plow already, then yes, you could pull the 2-row S-tines, no problem. Because I do that, and I usually run those in 2nd or 3rd gear on the high side, so I'm not even running in low gear anyways. Once you get going, you really just don't stop. So I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. I can't guarantee the things that really, really dig in. But you can definitely, like I have the double row S-tines on the back, you should have no problem pulling that through a cultivated field. And I will stress that, a cultivated field. Because if it's not cultivated, just like I have the problems out here when I'm trying to go through crop residue, it'll just build everything up. And next thing you know, you've got a whole mound of stuff behind you, and you got to go in there and you got to pull it out, and it's a nightmare. But if you have a field that's been prepped and it is just ready to go as bare soil, you should have no problem whatsoever actually going through that field. I also do have the bigger tractor. I really haven't ran that behind there that much, but it shouldn't be a problem. I did pick up the bigger scallop discs that I showed in the past videos, but I can't play with it because it's too darn wet out here. Every time I go out there, it gets gummed up. So I either got to figure out a way to put little kickers to release the stuff that's gummed up in there, or just have patience and wait for it to dry like the rest of the farmers in this area do. They don't go out and play in their field this time of year. It's a disaster. Hope that helped, Matt. If you have any more questions, be sure and let me know. Then we've got another one. This one is from Randy. He's asking about the best price quality to buy drip irrigation and greenhouse plastic because he's new to market gardening. First of all, Randy, congratulations getting into market gardening. It's fun. It's great. There's a lot to learn in it. It's a very interesting topic. And I've been studying it now for going on 8 years and have been actively market garden farming for 6. I still don't know everything. I know a lot, but I still don't know everything. But the one thing I do know for right now is probably the cheapest place I've actually found to get my greenhouse plastic is actually through Farmer's Friend. I mean, Greenhouse Megastore used to be the cheaper ones, but I think Farmer's Friend is now buying it in such bulk that they are able to beat almost anybody's prices just by the sheer amount that they are shipping out. I will tell you, if you can find an Amish supply house or a greenhouse supplier in your area, it is going to be cheaper because the shipping is what really builds the price of any of those items. Drip irrigation, I pretty much buy all my drip supplies from Berry Hill Irrigation now. That's pretty much just where I've gone. They're just really helpful. I can call them up. I can talk to somebody. They know what they're talking about. They can guide me and see if my ideas are too crazy or if they work. So Berry Hill is where I've been buying all of it. Drip Depot sometimes is cheaper on stuff, but they're also a bigger company. Berry Hills, well, they're still a decent sized company, but they're a smaller type company. I mean, I much prefer working with them because I can get the answers and the questions answered. Just, make a phone call. They'll kick me over to somebody. If they're not available, they'll give me a call back, usually within like 10 or 15 minutes. Now, during the time of year when it gets really busy, that might not 100% be the case, but typically they're very easy to work with. They're great to work with. I've always enjoyed them, and I bought the majority of my drip irrigation from them. And even that last round of overhead irrigation for the greenhouses that I did a video on that. It's great. They are the only place I found that actually supplied the their little, I can't remember what they're called now, spinnets. A lot of people call them whirly birds, but they're actually by Meganet. So that's the one place I like doing that at. Oh, and also for anybody that doesn't know yet, I do have the membership portion of the channel opened up. First level sustaining member. Second level gets access to all the digital tools and training I have on the website. And third level gets online person to person, probably going to use Zoom or something, half hour per month of consulting. So basically the fee's paying for the consulting, and then you get all the other stuff below, which would be the digital tools and training as well. So we will go on to more questions here. Feel free to drop anything in the chat box as well. I know people kind of come in and out as this goes on, and Thursdays can be a little busy from time to time. So we're just going to start from the top here. I got a question. Do you only sell at the farmer's market? No. We sell at a couple different venues. We sell at least 2 farmers markets, if not 3. Then we also have our online store, arkebergfarms.com. Down at the bottom is where the digital tools and training is. We also sell through Topeka Growers Group. He basically gets things at a 20% discount from us. I'm kind of maybe going to work those numbers around because I don't think the farm is making anything off that. I think the employees working get paid off that, but you got to have a little bit on top to build the farm with. So I'm kind of going to readdress that. He works with a bunch of other farms and sells it. He's not necessarily an aggregator because he knows all of us and is really into that, and he only sells online. And then we also have occasionally work with a couple restaurants. We really haven't the past season. They're finicky. They like to buy, at least in our area, which we're in a really, I don't know, stupid restaurant area. We're not close enough to really having a lot of nice restaurants. And the ones that buy from us will buy, we want 5 pounds this week, and then a month later they'll buy 5 pounds. So they're completely unpredictable. You can't plan for them. If you try to crop plan, you're out 25 pounds a week because your restaurants didn't buy that week. So it's very finicky in our area. If you can sell to restaurants, more power to you, but I've just kind of been moving further and further away from it, especially with the labor issues we have here. I can't seem to keep anybody. I'm trying to find a couple good people back on the farm again. So we'll kind of see how this season goes. I'm actually scaling down this year instead of scaling up like I have been the past couple years. That way I know when I don't have labor, I'm not going to kill myself like I did this season. We got our leaf lettuce. How much you ask per pound? We are selling our 4-ounce bags for $5, which includes sales tax because we have to charge food sales tax in our region. So that comes out to $4.33, I believe, because 6.65%. They just moved it, so I'm not exactly sure where it's at, but it's like 4.3 or something like that. We do sell the larger bags, which were 14-ounce bags for $14 with tax, which is like 12 something for the 14 ounces before tax. We're moving that down to a 12-ounce bag this year to kind of make it more equal with the smaller bags, or the regular size bags. As I always tell everybody to refer to them, don't refer to them as small. They're the regular size. Then we have the big family size, which are the big giant lettuce tubes. Even with 12 ounces, they're still big giant lettuce tubes. So I don't know what that equals out to pound even. Probably 20 some dollars a pound. If you looked at eggs in the grocery store recently, or if you haven't, if you're selling eggs, you need to raise your price. Organic free-range eggs at the grocery store before tax are $6.99 right now. We were selling them for $5 with tax, and I couldn't figure out why we were selling so many here recently, and that is 100% because I was cheaper than the white eggs from the grocery store. Okay, so I've got a question about sprinkler heads, and this was from somebody that's looking out in the main fields. The sprinkler heads we're using are Meganets. They're the ones when they spin around, they kind of go up and down and up and down. They have a larger droplet, which is good for our high wind. The little XL Wobblers and the XL Wobbler Minis, they make such a fine mist that it all really blows away, and it's just really, really difficult to get an even irrigation out here in the fields. Um, the Mega Nets, they're great. They have awesome coverage. They will literally cover 4 beds on each side of them. So I've got the 16-bed plot, and I've got 2 runs going down those, 4 in from each side and 8 from the center. Well, 4 from the center. There's 8 in between the 2 lines. And they're spaced at about 25-foot increments because all my beds are 90-foot long. Well, the field blocks are 90-foot long. The bed lengths are 40, and then there's landscape fabric, head and foot, and then a space in between 2 foot. So if I ever wanted to walk back and forth, yeah, I still don't really use them all that much. But that's the basic layout. Oh, I got the heater kicking on. I got to turn that off real quick so y'all can hear me. I forgot to plug in my mic so it'd be clearer. There we go. Yeah, I heat this building with one of those Craftsman. It's a kerosene diesel heater. You can put either or in it. And number 1, kerosene or diesel or fuel oil in it. I don't remember exactly. So you can put everything but unleaded in it, basically. Runs great. It heats this thing up. It's brand new. I've got a carbon monoxide detector over in the corner, so I don't have to worry about carbon monoxide and accidentally killing myself from it. But I think this place leaks enough to where it has enough fresh air to where it burns nice and efficiently, and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so what do we have up next? Do you use pre-emergence or fertilizers in your strawberries? No, but we fertilize. We are certified naturally grown, which means we cannot use pre-emergence. We cannot use grass off, which is a grass killer. Great if you could use it, but it's more chemicals sprayed on it. What we use is our 855. We put it down the equivalent of 200 pounds per acre on the beds. I can't remember the exact number it comes down to. I believe I got that up, the amendment calculator over in the digital tools and training on the website. I know I was going to, and I had somebody ask me about it, and I never got it up because I said I would. If I didn't, somebody email me and let me know, and I'll get it up. It's one of those things I just don't, there's so many things going on. Things get lost. Okay, and then got another question on where do we sell our winter lettuce. Right now we have no farmers markets. We are solely online and through the growers group, and that is it. It's about 50-50 in between the two. The one biggest, I don't know if we call it a mistake or not, is we actually helped the growers group get started. And this time of year, pretty much everything we have, or everything they sell is through us. But once the main season starts kicking in, they have found other bigger farms that are more mechanized that sell wholesale as well, that can really undercut our prices because they're not using the same techniques and basically manual labor source we are. We don't plant out a half acre of, say, radishes and just pick radishes until we're blue in the face and then sell them off until they're gone. We specifically grow enough radishes each week, which means we're flipping a lot more beds and putting a lot more, basically, time and energy into doing it. So we're assured to that. That's one of the bases of market garden. You get a much higher quality product and just a better finish than any other technique of doing it because you're able to care for the areas much better because you're working on a much smaller basis. But with that, we have to charge more. I mean, that's all there is to it. We've got to pay our labor more. They're doing more. I mean, we try to find local people. And then, let's see. Got a bunch of people that were really excited about the little Neversink torsion weeder I was using. Pretty cool. I haven't used it enough to say 100% I'd recommend it, but I would definitely build a wire weeder. I would not buy a wire weeder. They're expensive. You can bend a piece of wire, literally duct tape it to the end of a handle. You're good to go with that tool. Okay. So what else do we have here? So another one on the packing. Do we leave air in the bags? Yes. We specifically make sure to leave air in the bags. Video I just put out this week, well, actually today, there's a fast motion of it, but as you can see, I twist and twist and twist. I try to put at least 2 full twists in it before I run it through the bag taper, and then afterwards I always pinch it again to make sure. I know it's a little bit of unneeded motion, but I find it keeps the air better in the bags. The big harvest lugs we're using, the flat ones, will hold 20 bags in them without squishing them too badly, but they're short enough that they stay in there so you can stack them up, and that really, really keeps the air in the bags. One of the biggest things is if you're packing them warmer, well, when it gets warmer outside, once you put them in the walk-in, they will lose some of the air in them because it's just hot air gets smaller when it gets cold. Once you get them back out to the farmer's market, they will start to pick up, but you can build up some condensation in them. Got a question here. Okay. Oh, I can't read that on there. I'm going to have to switch over to the other one. I don't have quite enough room on my... There we go. Okay, at your farmer's market, how many lettuce salad mixes, beets and carrots do you take per week? I really try to standardize it per the season, and for our size of farmer's market, where we are completely polluted with resellers and we're basically the only real farm left at our farmer's market, I try to take 40 bags of the 4-ounce bags of lettuce, or I'll do 20 and like try to do 10 of the big ones. I know those numbers don't equal out right. People seem to gravitate towards the bigger bags for some reason, but that also varies through the season as well. Beets, again, we try to make sure we have around 20 bunches. For me, this past season, it seemed to work best for like doing stuff of 20s. Carrots, same thing. We're trying to get 20 bunches of carrots. Once we get down to the point where the beets are topped because we've gone past harvest date and the carrots have been topped, then we'll take a lot more. We'll take 30 or 40 bags, but they're in bags now. So they don't quite have the market display like they would when they're all stacked up and piled real high on your stand and just really have that bright red color, or like we do with the mix where there's a couple different mixes in there. We got the Chicago and the Golden, and then the Detroit. Those always look good. So, I mean, I hate to say it because everybody always says it. You've got to really try to learn your market more than anything. I know I could do more, but I'm also to the point now to where I'm trying to do just a little bit less and sell out than have extra that I'm stuck with. Now, again, on the things like the beets and the carrots, those can go back in the walk-in. The lettuce, I've got 1 or 2 weeks, and I've got succession plantings coming up behind that because we continuously plant that. You really, especially during the summer, you're lucky to get 2 weeks out of your bag mix. After it's in there and it's done, it's pretty much done. And when you start having to throw out 10 or 15 bags a week, your margin just went to nothing. That is the one thing. If you packed 40 bags and you only sold 20, you lost money that week. So that's the most important thing. That's actually one of the hardest things to do. I mean, especially with the market gardening technique. I do a lot of presentations and stuff on this. And when I start explaining the market garden technique, I have to explain to people, you can grow a lot. That's not the problem. The problem is, if you can't sell it all, you just wasted a bunch of time, not necessarily growing it, but harvesting it, turning your bed, packing it, and then trying to sell it and bring it back. And then when you bring it back, you have to unpack it to put it in the compost pile, and then you wasted all your bags and all your labels. I mean, it takes a lot. Planning is one, but also figuring out what to sell and what sells best. Best advice I can tell you is basically try to find as many different places to go. But pretty much, if you have, 20 bags of lettuce, 20 bunches of carrots, 20 bunches of radishes. In my area, that works great. A lot of other areas, you can't sell radishes for the life of you. I realize that. 20 bunches of kale, so there's 4 of them, and then 20 bunches of carrots. That's 100 items. If you can sell those 100 items for around the $4 to $5 mark, that's $400 to $500 from that farmer's market. So that's where you gotta kind of look into. Uh, the further you get in the season, the more stuff you actually have. So you just got to kind of play with it. I mean, more than anything, you don't want to do too much to start. I mean, when we first started, we were doing, let's see, a third of 40 foot. We were doing like 12-foot bed lengths when we were planting out. From there, we moved up to 20. And then after that, we moved up to 40 and then 80. Last season, I actually moved it down to one 200 cell flat a week and then one 40-foot, one side of a 40-foot bed, which had been 3 runs of All-Star Mix to supplement when we needed it. All-Star Mix is easy to get rid of when it's young because you can just terminate it by just lightly mixing it or tarping it. Now, once you get the heads, you get the nubs and everything else. It gets harder to get rid of it, especially, and the same thing with like the arugulas, red Russian kales, mustard green mixes. The first cut, if you terminate them right there and you tarp them, they go away. If you try for the second cut, they start to get woody and they're harder to get rid of. They don't really break up in the soil. So we'll just leave that basically there for now. Try to really work on your crop planning to try to set that goal to start with. It also depends on your population base and what people actually buy. Our whole entire county is 250,000 people. So that's not a lot. And I believe 40% of that is at or below the poverty line. So when it really comes down to it, we are catering to maybe a possibility of 125,000 people. And I think realistically, we have a population of people that actually consistently buy from the farmer's market and specifically go after the good food would be in maybe the 1,000. I mean, we're not talking about huge numbers in our area. It's our area. Everybody has gardens. Everybody has tomatoes. It's one thing we're not doing this year. Slicer tomatoes, not on the list. I'm going to play with some because I also want to try to do the Garden Fresh salsa, but I'm not planting a 80-foot row of slicer tomatoes. It's not worth it. They get sun scalded, and I can't compete with all the stuff brought in that is perfectly beautiful and pristine. It just doesn't work. It's not worth the time. Now, I am doing cherry tomatoes, though. I'm working on 2 different mixes. Okay, so I've got a question about wind exposure on your high tunnels and caterpillar tunnels. Is it good to turn at a 45, 50 degree angle to where your predominant wind is from? I'd say probably not. I don't know why that'd be a good idea. I think that would create a problem unless you had predominant winds out of, say, like the southeast or something, or the southwest. And then if you faced your tunnel east, west, or north, south, then it would hit either the end wall or the sidewall. Best thing I can tell you is try not to have them completely exposed. All mine are exposed to the south wind, so we get hit with the crazy south winds in Kansas, 45, 50 mile per hour, get gusts of 60 and even close to 70 sometimes. I've had one of my little crappier caterpillar tunnels I built that had the carport little frame things in the top of it with the posts that go on both sides. And I bought a bunch of cheap used posts from somewhere. Those broke. They broke like crazy. It was a gothic looking one. That was one of the old ones that you probably find it in a very old video. I think actually in the intro on the YouTube page, I'm walking into that tunnel when it was still in good shape. When I took it down, like 4 out of the 10 posts were broken in there, and I had them duct taped to sticks and everything else to keep them up. And that's the only tunnel I've really ever had take damage. The big giant one we have, way overkill, is a Zimmerman. It's got the W truss in it, 6-foot sidewalls. That thing is a freaking tank. That's all I can say. It's a tank. It is not in concrete. It is driven down because our clay is about 2.5 feet to 3 foot down, our heavy clay, and the poles are sunk to that. Never had any problems. It does get a little nerve-wracking when you're inside of it, when you can see it moving and hear it really rocking and rolling, but I've never had anything happen. I also inform everybody that works out here, when it starts getting windy out here, have some kind of knife on you. You have a harvest knife, or I've actually got one right here, a little X-Acto knife with you. So if you're in the field and you see a tunnel that is trying to take off or actually starting to take off or collapse, you start slashing plastic. The plastic to replace on a tunnel is a couple $100. The frame itself is way, way more than that. And that was the alarm telling me I need to go shut my greenhouse because I keep forgetting to do that. It's getting dark right now. I'll have to do that here after this. Hopefully I remember. I've left it open a couple times. It's getting cold. I keep pushing it. I kept the row cover on today, so it's not the end of the world because it's quite frankly cold and nasty and wet outside. So, okay, what else do we have? Oh, here's a great one. With the bags, people are asking. I had a question about bags. Asked me if I ever heard of the Nashville Bag Company. No, I had not. I tried Googling it. I did eventually find them, but I found a company called Nashville Wraps. They actually have really cool bags that I'm using. I'll go grab one real quick. These guys. So there's actually other companies that sell these. I think I got these through splashpackaging.com. They are thick plastic. They're a little expensive. They're like 2.5, but they got really sturdy handles on them, 2.5 mil, and they're about 25 cents a bag, which is fairly expensive. But anybody that has a walk-in that's ever pre-packed paper sacks for like a CSA or a farmer's market, then you go there in the morning and go pick them up, the bottoms fall out of them. There's too much moisture in a walk-in that's got produce in it, as it's constantly exhaling all of the moisture from the produce. So these are going to be the key solution because I bought all those insulated bags. I don't know if I really showed those much. Really cool zipper tap square bags, $2.50 a piece landed. I bought 160 of those last year, and they're supposed to be, hey, I give you one, you give it back to me on the honor system, used it for the CSA. I have like 6 of them left. So apparently they were really good bags because I can't get them back. My solution is 25 cents, I can do the same thing. And for like the CSA and stuff, these will actually fit down inside of those totes because I am going to order some more because they're great for like taking to the farmer's market and not have to worry about them cooking out in the 90 to 100 degree heat. But these are great. They're kind of weird gusseted. But these are the 16 by 16 or 16 by 15 by 5 handles bags. And they're they're a little opaque, but not barely at all. But they can also print your logo on there. I think it was close to 50 cents a bag, and I wasn't willing to do that. I'm just going to take a sticker and go with my nice thermal printer there. Okay, got another question in the chat from Scott here. How deep into your season do you grow radishes? And do you mix varieties in bunches? We traditionally have grown radishes the whole entire season here in Kansas, which sounds crazy. And I will tell you, they do get spicy. But we have a highly Germanic population here. A lot of the families that live here, they originally came over in the around 1850s, 1860s, 70s type region. And they love their radishes. I will tell you that right now. I talk to so many people that can't sell a bunch of radishes to save their life. We can take 40 to 50 bunches. I think at times we were doing close to 70 or 80 bunches to the farmer's market and sell them for $4 to $4.50 a bunch with taxes on top. So, I mean, that's how crazy the people around here are with radishes. That being said, I have found out that they actually store great with just pinch the tops off. They'll store for a couple months. So I'm really considering this year doing a two-fold system, doing the fresh radishes, and then also planting out a crop to sell continuously through the summer when they're just so spicy that I can barely eat them. We do still sell them, but not that many. I mean, it's getting down to like 10 or 15. They start to get, I don't know, they just don't start looking as good either. I was also going to experiment maybe trying to do some shade cloth, but I wanted to have the other ones for backup because it's really easy to go out there in the field. You pull your bunches, you just grab the whole bunch, twist the top, drop them in the tote. You count that as a bunch. There's one, do the next one, 2, or you just go and weigh them by the pound. We then sell them, the topped ones. Okay, so in a bunch, we'll do 7 to 10 depending on the size. I try to keep it down towards a 7. And then if we're doing a bag of them, we'll do a bag of them, and it's 3/4 of a pound. If you get more than that, it gets to be a lot of damn radishes. For varieties, we primarily grow the French breakfast radish. We grow a Sora radish, which is stupidly hard to get the seeds because Curtis Stone put it on his paper pot website. I've also started doing Easter egg radishes. So we're doing the Easter egg number twos. The Easter egg number twos are already mixed, and that is the prime thing about them. The other great thing with the radishes is I'll keep the Easter eggs separate because they're all different colors. I'll keep the French breakfast separate, and I'll keep the red bells, the Soros separate. And then when we come back from the farmer's market, I take them and I'll top them, throw them in a tote, and they will sit in the walk-in until they're needed. They will, I think I had them 3 months and they weren't even really starting to show anything. I mean, the main trick is to get them before they start showing any pithiness because they will still continue to grow. And once you have that little bit of pithiness in them, they'll go real pithy real quick on you. So you gotta be pretty careful with it. But yeah, I mean, that's the greatest way to do it. I'm not sure how, because everything we were selling bagged was through online. So I'm not sure how receptive people at the farmer's market will be to a bag of radishes. It's harder to see them because they're in a little bag and it just doesn't have the appeal of that big, bright, softball-sized cluster of radishes with the big, beautiful greens off the back that really pile nicely on your table. So I'm not 100% certain how it's going to work, but I'm definitely going to try it because it seems to work great. And I know other farmers will stop growing them, so I should be the only one with radishes that way. So that is the number one secret right there. Is if you're the only one with the product, even if you're selling it more of an unconventional way, you have a foothold in that area. The other possibility I was thinking of was putting them in a tote or something so they are exposed and open, and then you just sell them by the 3/4 pound increment or pound increment. I mean, but like I was telling you, a pound of radishes is a lot of radishes. Unless you're making a really big salad or you eat a lot of radishes, it is literally a lot of radishes. I know of a farm that sells 1.5 pounds, and they sell through Market Wagon, and that is just, it's like a lettuce bag full of radishes, like that, just full of topped radishes. It's almost the size of a football. It is a crazy amount. Okay, thanks for the question there, Scott. Got some more here. Do you, okay, do you put all your plastics so you can add, do you pull all your plastics so you can add fertilizer? Yes. Bed prep procedure is we remove everything. We remove all the field stuff. Then we remove, if it was planted in plastic mulch or landscape fabric, we remove that. Then we go through and we drop our fertilizer with a drop seeder or drop spreader that we have calibrated out to 100 pounds per square foot of our specific 855 fertilizer per push down the row. So if you want to do 200 pounds, we go there and we go back. Typically, we just do 100 pounds. That's another great thing. I got my soil test back this year, and I don't know if these are the ones right here or not. Let's see. These are from... No, these are 2020. These are old. Oh, no, the great thing is I've got like 100 pounds per acre equivalent of nitrogen. Or no, it's 100 parts per million. So that's 200 pounds per acre equivalent because I just actually did those beds and they threw in the nitrate test because I just wanted the NPK and the pH. Basically, I wanted the pH to look at, but the rest of it kind of came free through our K-State Ag Lab. And there's big, bold text out here, and asterisks said all kinds of crazy stuff. Do not add any nitrogen to your soil. It's like, yeah, I know. I added that nitrogen to the soil, and I had an active crop growing in there that was only a couple weeks old, but I wanted the other stuff. That just means that my numbers are right, and I'm putting down the exact precise amount of nitrogen I want on most of my crops. That's the other part of market gardening, especially trying to grow greens throughout the main heat of the season, is you want everything to be there just waiting in your soil. It's all there. It's all available. The plant has whatever it wants, and can do whatever it wants. That's how you get such beautiful produce doing the market garden technique. You're not stressing your soil. You're not just throwing fish emulsions through a drip line, or the fish, whatever it is, through the drip line just to give it enough fertilizer to grow, and just having basically powderized soil. You're building that soil, and it has everything in it it could possibly need. It's also why we work with all the micronutrients and all that. Again, soil amendment test sheet on the website, arkenbergfarms.com. Down the bottom, digital tools and training. It should be down there. If it's not, somebody tell me, I'll put it down there. Really kind of gives you the idea of where I built the research off of a lot of other advice and spreadsheets and things I've gotten throughout the years. It's kind of where I'm aiming. There's broader ranges there, and a lot, I hate to say it has to do with your soil type, but just that kind of gives you something to aim for. But if you have all of that that's there, then your crop should thrive. You should have no problem with it. Even like in my fields where I've got pH down, I think I had some this year test down at like 5.8, 5.9, because the pH had dropped back down. I got to go through and lime them this year. I mean, we just have naturally low pH soil out here. That's all there is to it. Usually the field blocks before we started are like at 5.5. I think 5.3 is the lowest ones I saw. So by adding that, it really, really helps. Okay, what else do we have on here? Looking for some more questions here. Oh, the bunching onions. For some reason, my bunching onions, how to grow, harvest, clean, and all that has decided to take off through YouTube. Not really sure why or how, but it has, and I've been getting a lot of questions and comments about that. The bunching onions we grow on landscape fabric. It's on a 6x6, 5 rows deep. We plant them off at the beginning of the season to where we start them in 200 cell plugs, which are the little bitty guys. Try to aim for between 6 and 10 seeds ish. I'm working on a better way to do that this year. I don't think I have it on my desk right now. Basically, I'm going to get a little scoop. Count how many seeds fit into it, and when I get that right, I'll just go through and I'll dump 200 into the trays. In the past, I've done it with just filling up a cup or whatever and sprinkling it out over the trays. Get really, really inconsistent amounts in them. So some are really big and some are really small, and you don't get as consistent. But the great thing is, we start ours in February 1st. They will go out in the field right about our last frost, which is about mid to late April. Put down 200 pounds equivalent per acre of nitrogen, which is the 2 passes with our drop seeder. And then we put down our landscape fabric and we'll plug the plugs into those. After you do that, almost nothing will come through, and you will have nice clumps of bunching onions about that big around that will come up through the holes. We don't do it like everybody else does, where they pull them when they're about pinky size. That's when we start pulling them, and we'll start pulling about 10 per week. But 140-foot bed, that's what? 80 times 5, that's 400 individual bunches in 140-foot bed. So we only pull maybe 10 a week. So that gives us theoretically about 40 weeks, that's way too much. We must actually pull closer to 20 bunches a week. So that really, really helps with kind of pacing yourself. But we'll just leave that there all season long. And as we start to clear the bed down, we'll lay down more plastic over the top of it so nothing will grow through the existing holes. I mean, by the end of the season, those bunching onions, I kid you not, are like, where am I in the camera? Like that big around. They're like quarter sizes. And the bunch is just crazy. And they're, that long, and people just love them. I mean, it blows everybody's mind that they get that big. And we grow the parade ones. They're just the common ones. Got another question here from Don. Do we use a germination chamber? Yes, kind of, sort of. Yes, we did. I've got an old, just regular top and bottom fridge freezer combo thing, controlled with the chicken hot cold thermostat. Plug one side in the fridge, plug the other side into a crock pot full of water in the bottom. Use that for years, worked great. We always covered our stuff with plastic because it seemed like we got better germination. I think some of that might have been seed storage, but that's a whole different area. But now I have our old walk-in, which is over behind the old office where the old pack building was. And I use that as my not only germination chamber, but I also use it for growing microgreens under light. And I start all my seeds in there. And during this time of year, I will grow my seeds in there until about mid-March. So all my seedlings will be in there. I've got a baker's rack with 10 or 12 shelves on it. And those little cheap, oh, what are they? Little cheap lights off of Amazon. Blue ones work best. The sun ones and the gold ones don't provide as much growth. I don't know if it's intensity or what, but I've come to find that out. So pretty much we just grow in there, and then I take the trays and I stack them all up. And I always put all of our flats inside of trays. And with the trays, I stack them on top of each other. And then I get to the top one, I'll stick another tray on top and weight on top of it. So that way I'm basically doing the same thing as I would with putting the plastic on the top. I'm kind of sealing in the moisture. I do find once I get that room really rolling and I get a lot of stuff in there, moisture in there is not a problem. I actually have a small dehumidifier and probably need a larger one in there. So that's basically my germination chamber now. I've got the window air conditioner in there. I've got a CoolBot on it if I ever want to run, anything else if I want to cool it if I have to change out throughout the season. But I don't even run that at all anymore. The only time I run that basically if I'm turning into cooling because I completely ran out of space, because we now have a big giant walk-in sitting next to me. It's 8 by 12. I got my homemade CoolBot reach-in fridge next to me that we use now only for our fruiting crops that stay at 50 degrees storage temperatures. So it's open space. It's a nice room. I put a shelf in there so I can work and I can do all my microgreen planting and harvesting just within that one room. So yes, we use a germination chamber, but not like the germination chambers everybody else is, because I just happen to have a really big space that's the same thing as a germination chamber, kind of, sort of. All the lights in there are on timers, so that really doesn't affect anything. This time of year, I just use a little radiant heater. I don't know, it's about that big. I think it's a little 800 watt or something. It's really nothing to it, and it keeps the thing warm. I mean, it's old walk-in panels. They're even the really, really old ones, they've got the aluminum skins on both sides and 2x4s inside of them, or 2x3s. But in between them, they actually have fiberglass batt insulation. When I bought them, I assumed almost all walk-ins were foam. These old things, nope, not at all. But hey, it works great. But yes, the number one secret to having good germination is to use a germination chamber of some kind. It doesn't have to be a freezer. It doesn't have to be a refrigerator. It can be a room. It can be a cabinet. It just has to have a way to cool and heat to keep it at a constant temperature. Or, depending on the time of the year, when it's cold outside early in the season, you just need to heat it. You just need to keep it warm enough. And a little chicken heater, the little ones for your lights for your chicken houses, do great on just running heat. I have the dual one that does heat and cool, so I can run either way. One side runs the window air conditioner. The other side, well, actually, I watched that one. I don't have that hooked up in there because, I don't think I did that in there. I think that's still actually in the germination chamber. That's now trapped in the old pack shed in the back corner. That is now the office, which was the office before I built this office, which is now my wife's little craft sewing shed thing that I can't get to the back corner of. Okay, so what else do we have here? Do we ever heat our greenhouses? The answer is kind of, but no. We do not have traditional heating systems. We don't have a big giant, LPG, LP, natural gas, any type of furnace in there. The one thing I will do sometimes in the beginning of the season, and a couple more times during those first frost, first freeze times of the season, I'll try to extend, like the tomato house or something, because I haven't taken it out, and I know there's still a market for tomatoes, and there's still a bunch of good ones in there, is I'll use my Craftsman turbo tube heater. I'm not sure exactly what the technical terms for them. They're like a little jet engine, basically. It runs off of diesel, or propane. I think mine's a 80,000 BTU. I bought it from I want to say Lowe's a couple years back. What I use to heat the building I'm in right now. That's why I had to get up earlier and actually shut it off. But I will take it out there and run it in there because if it's only getting down to like 31 or so, and that's just enough to where it will freeze out the tunnel, I can keep it warm. In the smaller prop house that's only 20 foot long, I think I was warming that thing up when it was down in the 20s with no problem. Like $20, 5 gallons of fuel was lasting me all week. So yes, we do a little bit, but not the traditional where like the big giant mega tomato houses where they're putting their damn tomatoes in the ground in March and spending who knows how much money heating the darn things. I know the one farmer I talked to, he has the double ditch, or not double ditch, single ditch. Oh, it's basically two 30 by 100 Zimmermans put together with the gutter down the center of it. I think he said he used 2,000 or 3,000 gallons of natural gas last year, or LP gas, propane, to heat that thing. That had to have been a couple $1,000s just to do that alone. I don't see how it's basically worth doing it. I mean, he does wholesale, so it all goes somewhere, but still. Here's another great one that I get asked all the time, actually, especially around here. Are you going to do pumpkins or a pumpkin patch with your sunflower field? No, no, and no. We have squash bugs so horribly out here and cucumber beetles. I've never found any type of pumpkins whatsoever that grow long enough to produce a pumpkin. I've never once been able to grow a pumpkin on this property. Let's just put it that way. And I've tried, and I'm not going to spray them every 3 days to try to kill those little boogers. I did successfully grow cantaloupe and some little watermelons this last year. I actually planted those in, I think I started the seeds in June and transplanted them, end of June. So I transplanted them in the ground in July. Used Ultra in the beds. And they were also heritage breed seeds that I got from a relative that I'd never met before. He's, saw me on Facebook or YouTube and sent them to me, which was awesome. So that's pretty much my answer to that. I'm going to do the cantaloupes again this year. I really want to try harder because I really think that, well, I like them. They're super delicious. And they're what everybody wants. They're about that big around, smaller than a soccer ball. And they are super musky and not too sweet. They're the old world heritage. And I believe they're so resistant because they're an old world heritage breed. Okay, what else we got here? We got a few more minutes left. Usually wrap it up after about an hour. See if we got any more major questions here. I'm just going through the YouTube page. I pretty much got the pre-asked questions settled out. We have been getting a lot of questions about the bunching onions. I will do videos when we do the seeding and the transplanting. I will tell you, it's a lot more work than just going out there with your jang and just planting the things. But to never have to cultivate or touch that bed except for the harvest after it's planted, you can't beat that. There's nothing more I can say than that is all the work you have to do for the whole entire season. Okay, that really looks like about all that we've got. Other than that, like I said earlier, I mean, we've got the membership portal opened up, bottom level sustaining member. Next one up's access to all the live digital tools and training on our website, arkenbergfarms.com. And then top level, half-hour one-on-one consulting. Going to do it through Zoom or another platform. Really haven't gotten that far. Because I really haven't gotten that far. We'll be at the Mother Earth News Fairs this year, going down in February, Belton, Texas. This is down by the Austin, Dallas area. Then Lawrence, Kansas in April. Then we've got Pennsylvania, which would be Erie, Pennsylvania in mid-July. and then supposedly Great Bend, I think Grand Bend, Wisconsin, just north of Chicago. I don't think they've officially announced that yet, but I believe that is in the works. So during those times there, same thing. I'll do consulting times. Anybody that, is going to be there, we can set up an hour, go over whatever you want. I really, really want to know in advance if you want to do that. That way I can ask questions beforehand and have specific pointed answers instead of trying to figure out things and look them up as we kind of go, because that's basically a waste of your time. I want you to get as much value as possible out of it. I've done quite a bit of consulting with other people where they've consulted to me, and it is some of the most valuable information I've had throughout the whole entire farming, because there's that great saying, you don't know what you don't know. And then somebody tells you something, and you're like, huh? Seriously? All these years? And it's the stupid, simple answer that I just never thought of. And I've been told enough of those that I try to get it in the videos and everything, but I can't even tell you where they're at in the videos. So I try my best to help as much as I can, more or less. Oh, here's a great one. What's that big leafy spinach that you're growing? This will be the last one. That is actually called a giant winter spinach. I didn't think it was giant either, but literally, leaves bigger than my hand. Big giant arrow leaves. Yeah, crazy. I didn't expect it. Really doesn't taste that good. Really thin. Out in the cold, my lizard spinach, which is the best for the heat of the season, did way better than it did through the cold. I actually tilled in the bed out there because I had to get rid of it. And again, by tilling in, I mean, I worked it in about that far in the soil. It'll be gone by the time I plant anyways, so it is what it is. But as always, thank you all for coming out, joining me at this Q&A tonight. Again, ArkenbergFarms.questions with S's at the end of both of them at yahoo.com to submit questions. If you can't be here, you can come and recap it. I will try to at least send a answer to the emails themselves. At least at this point I can, because I have a low enough number that it's not going to take me 2 hours to do it. I try to give everybody who joins us and watches the channel as much value as possible. That's always been my goal here, is to spread and teach more. The more membership and the more funds we have coming in from YouTube, I spend all of that on the farm. None of that goes in my pocket to go on vacation or do anything else. All of that money specifically goes back into making this a better farm. It does not pay for salaries. It does not pay for seed. It pays for equipment, and basically equipment, tools, and techniques, and just expanding what we can do here, bettering the area, making this office look nicer, making this building look nicer, putting together hopefully the commercial kitchen to where I can really go into that too. So as always, hope y'all like what you saw today. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Use that silly little bell button or whatever the hell they always tell you to do, and thank y'all.